Sorry, you gonna have to go in there.
That's right, you gotta go in the moment live, okay? Go ahead, take your tap.
What's good, good people? What's good, people? Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me in the chat? Okay. What's going on, good people? As you can see in your About Me section, my name is Rakia. I go by Cosmic Paradox. Wrote a couple of books having to do with alchemy and shadow work. And that's pretty much what we're here to talk about. That's what we're here to build on. I'm all about knowledge. We're dealing with knowledge itself, spiritual knowledge, spiritual enlightenment. So that's pretty much the goal of most of the conversations that I strive to have with people. If anybody want to talk to me, that's pretty much the best route to take in terms of talking to me. Those are the topics that I like to discuss, that I find extremely interesting. And if I'm being honest, it's been very liberating for me, changed my life. So it's only right that I share that and share my experience and my perspective with other individuals. So, let's see. What we building on today, good people? See, I know y'all might not be too familiar with what I kind of put out there. So, but we got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? We got to start somewhere. We got to start somewhere. Okay, you major in psychology. Okay, that's what's up, Tavaria. Where is everybody from? Y'all drop where y'all from in the chat. Everybody from in the chat. I'm currently residing in Atlanta. All right, Mississippi. Shout out to the Mississippi area, the Southeast. I don't know if you're too familiar with the Mississippian pre-colonial culture. Knowledge about the Mississippians. The indigenous peoples of America. Shout out to Mississippi. Shout out to the Mississippi. So, author currently of 3 books. So, where you at? And right now, currently, if you do go to my website, you can get all 3 of those ebooks. So the first book, A Guide to Inner Peace, is a book about numerology. And if you've been following me, numerology has been a very, very helpful tool in terms of self-development, personal development, spiritual enlightenment. Now, the second book, A Guide to Self-Mastery, is about mastering the self and understanding alchemy and how to apply that in a practical sense. And then we got Set Your Soul on Fire, which is solely focus on shadow work and methods and means of how to go about doing it. What does it all mean? Okay, so you see angel numbers. Do you know what angel numbers, what they're for, or what message they're relaying to Varia? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I hope I'm saying your name right. But and we do talk about angel numbers some. So the first two books I wrote with my husband. So he's really, really, really heavy into the numbers. And when it comes to seeing those repeating numbers, numbers are vibrations, they're frequencies. So in a sense, it's communication from the universe. Okay, so you research them and just take what resonates. I can get with that. I can get with that. And if you were to start to look into the language and the understanding of the metaphysical properties of numbers, when you see them and things of that nature, every time you see a number, then your mind can kind of automatically relay that as a message to you. So when you see a one, could be a creativity. You can think about a one like a wand, a magic wand. Are you creating? Does it have to do with something that you're creating? It can also have to do with confidence. You think about a one, the way it is, right? It's straight up like a phallus, almost like a phallic symbol. So you're dealing with confidence. You're dealing with a connection to the Father. So those type of things are some of the things that I talk about in regards to you know the numbers and what have you. But yeah, numbers pretty much can really provide you with a higher insight into things, so to speak. When's your birthday, if you don't mind me asking? The month, day, and year. The main focus of A Guide to Numerology, a Guide to Inner Peace, the book on numerology, it focuses mostly on life path. So there's the metaphysical dissection of the numbers, but it's specifically looked at in terms of life path. So when you're looking at the life path, you're looking at your specific struggles and obstacles that you may have to deal with. And it's related to the birthday. So there's some numbers, or there's some things you can come up with through numerology that's related to the name. Okay, November the 3rd, 2001. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 and 3 is 8. Yeah, so you are direct life path 8. So in terms of an 8, you're looking at power and abundance. So when I say, I got my fault. My YouTube started playing. But when you're looking at power and abundance, a lot of times that can have to do with being too aggressive, or not being aggressive enough, learning how to take action. A lot of times they can have to do with money, because we are talking about power, we're talking about abundance, we're talking about influence, we're talking about credit, taking receiving the credit or the notoriety or for a thing, right? Hold on, y'all. Let me swap my camera real quick, because I don't want. Okay. All right. So, when you're looking at it like that, that's a different way of looking at it. But hold on real quick. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna go pull the book up for you. Hold on. Okay. So when we looking at the 8. Oh, where you at? Hold on. Okay, so let me put that on the. Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna get this to you. Let me show you. Okay, I'm gonna show you something. If you. Okay. All right. It's kind of big. It's kind of big, but when we're looking at the 8 is the CEO. All right. So the 8 is the CEO because you got lessons around power and abundance, and sometimes even independence. So you can always feel like you fighting to be independent, being able to do things where you can stand on your own. So a lot of people, when it comes to 8, can struggle with authority, can question authority a lot, because naturally you're born to be the boss. You're born to run things. You naturally know how to manage different parts. Everybody is a genius at something, and 8s are a genius when it comes to business. So when we're looking at 8, we talking about business. So being business minded, or if you're business minded, it's important to remember that you gotta lighten up. You can't always be so serious. That can be the thing with an 8. Sometimes it can be seen as a very serious energy. So your path is about using this power, this influence, this abundance way of energy that you have to do something positive in the world. Because if you take an 8 and you turn an 8 sideways, it's an infinity symbol. So that's why there's this the frequency, the vibration of abundance. So when you see an 8, it can have a lot to do with your finances. It can have to do with your money. Because naturally, people tell you money is power. You have enough money, you can buy yourself the power. You can be in a position of power if you have enough money. So typically, those things go hand in hand. But what 8s have to learn is to use this for something good. Use this in a sense of for a higher calling. That way, whenever an 8 can find themselves doing something for a higher calling, the money is going to be a significant reward for them. But when you do it just for the money, though, but if you do it just for the money, then that's when you're going to find yourself having issues, because that's the lesson of the 8. So that's the lesson of the 8. See, abundance is an attitude. It ain't really, see, with 8s, it ain't really about making the money. It's about creating the abundance. So the abundance is an attitude. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of being. It's a way of being. Anybody can feel abundant regardless of how many material things they have. So once 8s learn to take action, that's when they become recognized for their success. It's easy to recognize a 8. It's easy for an 8 to stand out when they take action. It's natural for them. It's just in their energy. So when somebody is an 8 and they struggling with that, it's because, or if they struggling with being able to obtain their success, they might not know how to take action. You might be too passive aggressive. And the lesson in that is because of some karmic past that you have where you abuse power in another life. That's why you can be so hesitant to go into that space for yourself. Because when you go into that space, because you already been there before. Subconsciously, you know you've been there before. Subconsciously, you know what you are capable of doing. So you're hesitant in doing that. It's just the energy of subconsciously knowing and having to have that play out on the other side. So in this life, you might find yourself being taken advantage of. You might find yourself being used for money until you are willing to, stand up for yourself. Because you have to let go of all that past energy. You have to let go of it and embrace and step into your power. You gotta see you gotta learn how to balance it now. You gotta learn how to be one with that power and not allow that power to define you. That's the difference of it. When you're looking at that 8. That's why that 8 is that influence, that power, that abundance. So now, like, hey, when you seeing repeating 8s, it's abundance all around you. Or maybe something is calling for you to be abundant. Because you have to be mindful now. Because like we looking at that infinity, one thing about an 8, what you put out is what's going to come back to you. So always be mindful of what it is that you putting out, because it's going to come back to you. So knowing that it's going to come back to you, make sure that when you send it out, the seeds that you plant, make sure that it's fruit that you want to reap. Make sure that it's a reward that you want. That's how when people say you play stupid games, you get stupid. You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. Well, that's kind of, you got to be mindful of what you put out, because the 8 is very, very powerful. It's very abundant. So it's going to come back to you in a big way. So that's why when an 8 can really do good or do for a good cause, it's going to come back to them in a big way. That's the thing about an 8. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to health, 8s have to pay close attention to the heart. Pay close attention to the heart, your blood pressure. Make sure your blood pressure isn't getting high, because that coincides with your life path. Are you being too serious about things? Are you taking things too serious? Are you being too work involved? Are you overworking yourself? Because sometimes you just gotta take a moment and you just gotta, relax. Just relax, and don't forget to be active, to exercise your body consistently, because 8s can, like I say, get caught all up into the structure of things, so they can just be caught up in work. That's their work all the time, don't have room for nothing else. You have to make room, because what is success and authority in your mind? That's what 8 symbolizes, success and authority. So those issues pertaining to your success, things pertaining to authority, those are the things that can weigh on your heart. So 8s have to be mindful of that. That's why you gotta pay attention to the heart. In relationships, control can be an issue. Because remember, 8 is dealing with lessons about power. You know what I'm saying? So control and power can kind of be a thing. That's even if you're familiar with astrology, look at the 8th house and the things that come with the 8th house. That coincides with that 8 energy as well. You dealing with other people's money. You're dealing with inheritance, like those type of things. It's the 8th. It's the number 8 for a reason. 8 carries a vibration. It carries a frequency. So don't be afraid to show affection. 8s cannot want to show affection. You gotta show affection. Don't be afraid to show affection, because 8 is really a love number. It's really a love number. It's the highest form of love. So you can't be too focused on the material, because that's going to cause you too much stress. When in reality, you're supposed to be doing things that bring you joy. And when you pair that with something that is greater than yourself, man, I'm telling you, that's how you get the rewards. You know? So, like I said, money can really be a thing for eights. Money can really be a way that y'all being tested. And it's not to say that eights are money hungry, but that just can be how that energy can play out. Because naturally in society, like I say, money just kind of correlates with power. So even in terms of other people, that's why I say, like, hey, you might be just too passive aggressive and you might just let people use you or allow people to use you, not willing to, you know, enforce them boundaries. And depending on if there's other numbers present, so you just got an 8. So you just got a flat 8. So you good in terms of other number influences. But, you know, just always keep a good attitude about money. And that's, you know, that's the lesson. But that's even in terms of people. If you're people seeing an 8, you don't have to be an 8 light path. Like you say, people see angel numbers and stuff like that. So if you're seeing 8s, that can be the lesson. Like, it might be money trying to come to you. You know, money is a currency. Currency ain't nothing but energy. So you can magnetize or demagnetize yourself to money depending on how you feel about it. So, you know, and that's just the thing. And money ain't nothing but a magnifier. It pretty much makes more of what's already there. That's why it's abundance. It's like a multiplier. So whatever's there is going to make it bigger. It's going to bring more of it. So good people, people who do good in the world, just think about if they have a lot of money, how much good they would do. You know, I know a lot of times we're geared towards the bad and the greed. That's true. A lot of issues do stem from, you know, people being rooted in money or people simply, you know, what's the word we're looking for? You know, when the people just being too greedy, when people just define themselves by material things. Of course, those people are going to do whatever they can to acquire money. Why? Because, hey, to them, money is power. But when you really realize the truth of it, you know, when you really get to the truth of it, you make the money. You are the real currency. You are the frequency. You are the energy. So, you know, it's just about tapping into your own power, tapping into your own authority. So, if you find yourself having issues with authority, that's rooted in something deeper, something more. You know what I'm saying? But there's just in the sense of looking at numbers in terms of numerology and how to, you know, utilize that tool in your life, because it's one thing to obtain this information, but it's totally different when you can apply it. You know what I'm saying? If you can apply it, then, you know, that's different. Exactly. They let the money make them. Yep. So, but in terms of numbers, that's why you see so many numbers in symbolism. So that's why you see so many numbers in the symbolism. Like you see, you know, the 33. Just like when you're looking up here in the picture. Right? So when you see the a symbolic reference, there's a meaning to that. So when you read a story in 33, there's a meaning to that. When even in a news story, even though it's the news, it's still a news story. You know, everything has a metaphysical meaning. So when we're looking at 33, that's a master number. You know, so 33, why is it that they want you to know that Christ died at the age of 33? What's symbolic to the number 33? You know, so when you look up here at that picture, you got 33. That's 33 bones from your tailbone, the coccyx, all the way up to the base of your skull is 33 bones. So it's symbolic reference to your spiritual ascension. You know what I'm saying? The rising of the Kundalini energy, activating, the kingdom of heaven, opening the third eye. There are so many different means of expressing that, spiritual, evolution. So when we're talking about 33, what is that meaning? What is that symbolizing? So there's more than what's on the surface. So there's what they tell us in the open, and then there is what's hidden below. And what's hidden below is usually much more of the story than just what's on the surface. So everything is like that. Your colors, music, frequencies, musical notes, solfeggio, everything has a frequency to correlate to your temple, your 7 chakras. And most things want to keep us down here in the lower root, in the lower areas. Want to keep us in a lower frequency. Symbolically hell. So most people stuck in the root, which means you're dealing with in a state of survival. So people got overactive adrenal glands because they stuck in survival, dealing with fear. So everybody's mostly living through fear. So when you're living through fear, you can't make decisions from up here, the heart. On up, you can't see that. You blind to that. You down here. You can only see through this lens. It's hard for somebody to be able to interpret what's up here. So we got to remember that as people who do have the knowledge, as those of us who are aware, we're up here trying to yield down to people who stuck down here. That's what it is. So all these things are symbolically referenced. And it's all mixed in together. And it's purposely mixed in together. It's purposely mixed up between religions and secret societies and different forms of indoctrination. It's specifically, that's what I mean to say. It's specifically twisted all up like that to confuse you purposely. Because you have to come into the knowledge. You have to come into it. So that's the best way to trip people up. Is to mix it all around. That's why you have the word spells. Where there's certain words, especially in the English language, that, we say these words and these words have multiple meanings. They have multiple meanings, but they sound the same. And so, the mixing up of that's the word spell. So we saying things and not understanding the spells we casting on ourselves when we say these things. It's trippy like that. But that was the point of leaving the symbols, though. Because, see, the symbols, right? The symbols are going to speak to your subconscious. The symbols is going to speak to your DNA. The symbols is going to activate other parts of you, sleeping parts of you that it's supposed to activate. That's the whole point of these things being left in stone. Well, I mean, the grand rising. I mean, it's all just symbolic of the sun, because you still, in a sense, it's not totally bad to say good morning. It's not totally bad either. Not when you understand what it's symbolic of in reference to, in terms of what it is. Because when you say mourning in terms of death, that's still in a sense where you can say, or when you understand that you do experience death, you experience death over and over again in terms of ego death every time you come into a deeper realization about yourself. And that's a whole process. Like, it's a process moving from level to level. You know what I'm saying? Like, it won't easy when you woke up. Like, when you wake up, that shit was hard. Like, you can't eat the same foods. You can't hang out with the same people. The things you used to do are not as enjoyable. Like, there's a whole process of having to move forward. You got to mourn that part of yourself. You got to mourn who you was, because you ain't that person no more. Now, there's the core of who you are, and understanding who you are that you're going to take with you. But you know that you can no longer be who you was, because you're not who you was no more. You feel what I'm saying? So it depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you look at it. But most people don't really, you know what I'm saying, know or understand that either. But that's the symbolism of the sun. Every day, like, if we look at everything as a reflection of the outer to the inner, if everything is teaching us, right? Because that's why they were so, acknowledgeable, or why they acknowledge so much about the sun, the symbolism of the sun and what the sun was showing, because the sun goes away every night, but it still comes back up. It rises again. So we go down in terms of only to rise back up again. So, hey, grand rising. But a lot of that too, I think, in terms of, a lot of our people they just program to reject the higher frequency. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. They just stuck in where they at. It's like on the Matrix. It's like they said on the Matrix. These people, even though they are the ones we fighting for, they don't realize it, but they still a part of the program. If they not unplugged, he said, if they're not one of us, they one of them. Because ultimately, the agent can become anybody in the Matrix that ain't unplugged. So if they not unplugged, they can only be what they are. You can't be mad at them, though. You can't even really be mad at them, because they can only be what they know. They can only be what they know at the end of the day. So, what can you really say? What can you really say? And at the end of the day, people can only understand from their level of perception. They can only understand from their level of perception. They can't see no more. They can't see beyond it. And you can't make them see. You can't make them see. You can't make them see it. They are not. It's almost like trying to explain or trying to run an iPhone on an Android. It don't work. Or vice versa. It don't work. It don't work. You can't do it. You can't run a Windows program on a Apple. I mean, you can if you hijack it, of course, but it ain't built like that. It ain't built like that. So it's like Dick Gregory said, the universe gotta pick you. You chosen. So when you chosen, you got them glasses. You can't make nobody else put them glasses on. You can't take them off. You see what you see, and you can't unsee what you seen. So you can't go back, and they can't come with you. That's just the truth of it all. Yeah. It ain't an easy thing to process, but it's the truth. It is what it is. It is what it is. So you can't really explain yourself. That's why I'm not really one to want to argue with nobody, man. Like, I'm cool with a healthy debate or exchange, I'm good with sharing information. But most people ain't really trying to do that, though. That's not what most people are trying to do. It's mostly just an ego game. And this, I'm right, and this is why I'm right. I don't even really care. I just be like, you got it, man. If this what you want, you can have it. I ain't trying to convince you of nothing. I'm just talking to the people that resonate with what I'm saying. Yeah, because to Christians, everything is the devil. And they don't realize that don't nobody believe in the devil like them. Nobody, listen, they don't realize how much they just don't get it. They just really don't get it. But it ain't for them to get it either, though. We got to remember that. It ain't for them to get it. We got to let them be where they at and just leave them alone. Because you can show them with their own things. They still got an issue. You can show them, even outside of that. They still going to have an issue. Why? Because of this right here. Cognitive dissonance. Because their whole identity is embedded in it. So the minute that you are required to question the whole core of your identity, the whole foundation of your identity, that can't happen. That's why Morpheus told Neo, he said, I apologize. We don't really do this when people reach a certain age because the mind can't take it. The mind can't take not knowing that this isn't real. You feel me? They can't process all this shit. We gotta let them be where they at. They like the NPCs in the game. You can't run around in the game trying to save the NPCs. Why would you do that? You gotta focus on your mission. You gotta focus on your mission. That's nothing more than a distraction. I know you love them. It is what it is. But the best thing that you can do if you really want them to wake up is to shine and to do and to abide by your mission to the highest degree. And in doing it, subconsciously, you're going to plant them seeds in them for them to want to do the same thing. But you can't force it on nobody. You can't force it on nobody. It's not going to work. That cognitive dissonance is going to kick in. And no matter what you say, no matter how much sense you make, no matter even if you do it in a gentle nature, it's not going to matter. It just is what it is. And that's a part of having to identify the ego, the savior part of you, the part that you programmed to put in the light of being seen as a hero and want to save people. You ain't supposed to save nobody but yourself. You're not supposed to save nobody but yourself. You can only save yourself. And in saving yourself, you can hope that you can show somebody else how to save themselves. But you can only save yourself. That's just the truth of it. You can only save yourself. That's why light is just as blinding as darkness. Because that shit ain't nothing but ego. And you wanting to save the people. You're not supposed to save the people, yo. You're not supposed to do that. The ancestors didn't do nothing but put things out there in stone, in tablets on how to spiritually illuminate yourself. That's what they kept reiterating over and over and over and over and over again. And over again. The Book of the Dead, was the ancient Egyptians, the Book of the Dead, the Mayans, the Book of the Everybody. Why everybody was so focused on that part? You gotta think about it. Because it was always written that one day you was going to be enslaved. That was already written. That's in the one of them papyruses. It was already written that you was gonna be in a foreign land and you was gonna be enslaved and you was gonna forget who you was. It was already written. So that's what they left for you. So you gotta pay attention to what they left for you. But that's just how I see it. That's what my study has shown me. And what I realize is a lot of things that they do not want you to look at is always going to be put under something that you were taught and conditioned and programmed to fear. That is the number one okie doke that has been pulled on our people. Everything that has very, very powerful hidden information is cloaked up under something that they told you was very bad. Something that you take a risk on going into to discover. But that's why it's not for everybody. That's why people have to be chosen. That's why everybody not built for this. It's just like when you look and you know everybody not built to be in the street, and you can tell that if some people get into something that they're going to tell, it's the same thing. Everybody is not really built to be into this. It's a courageous path. Like, yo, you got to go explore some things that you taught and programmed and conditioned not to. So you have to rebel against the program. Number one, you have to say no to the structure. Everybody can't do that. Everybody is not strong enough to do that. That's why they always showing you these selective hero types. But remember, it's in reference to your journey. You're the hero of yourself. But that's why that's always there. In terms of it being a specific. Yo, you gotta go do that work. You gotta go in there. You have to explore it. You have to make the connection. You have to do it. If not, you're just a following ass person. And you just following the next person he said, she said. You gotta go beyond it. And you gotta do it for you. At least on this path to self, that is what it's about. At least on this spiritual path. Now, for the people that's dealing with the religion, it ain't for them. That ain't for the people dealing with the religion. They the distraction. Those are the masses. See, you already gone if you want the approval of the masses. That's tier level 1. You already through. If you want the approval of the masses, come on now, that's the program people. You want to be normal, to fit in. You know, to be weird is to be one who is the master of their own destiny. Sometimes, you know, you gotta look deeper than the program, man. You gotta look deeper beyond than what you've been taught to look at. The way you condition and program to look at it, yo, you gotta unlearn it. Number one, so you can learn how to use your brain for yourself. So you can learn how to think for yourself. Learn how to analyze, think critically, and to analyze, because it's common sense. So why they say common sense ain't all that common, and you just realize and you just peep game, and you realize how much the things that's normal is really, really like questionable, and it's like, dang, you know. But we don't think like that because we not programmed. You feel me? We're not programmed to think that way. We're only programmed to really fit in. So when you break out of that programming, yeah, it's like you glitch the matrix. It's like you glitch this bitch. You glitch the matrix. So, you know, man, it's all in how you really look at it. Absolutely, that's why they made school. That's the point of school. See, now in today's society, we are volunteer slaves. We voluntarily, you know, substitute ourselves for labor, for money, That's the thing. We do it for money, right? Because we need money to live. You gotta pay your rent. You gotta pay for food. You gotta pay for lights. You gotta pay for water. right? So we voluntarily, because this is the what we have to do, so we're already taught to work to the clock, that they condition us to work pretty much that 9 to 5, that 7 to 3 clock starts out in our foundational years when we taught to go to school. So in elementary school, look at what they teach us and look at what they teach in school. Everything is a the Rockefellers are the origins of the school system. They didn't care about educating the children. They didn't care about making a smart society. They wanted good workers. They wanted good laborers. You feel me? And so, school is the first step of indoctrination. So you got school, you go to church, boom, you a handy dandy good old citizen. You pretty much a product NPC. You're following the guidelines to be a good contribution to society. So that means you're helping to keep this shit going along at the end of the day. That's the truth of the matter. You're just helping this shit keep going as it is. Everybody that's continuing to contribute. Because as long as many people or the masses are okay with the way the system is, it's not going to change. So it's not going to change. So, that's the whole point of it, school. And for the people who can't fit into that structure in school, they go straight to prison. They go to prison. That's why so many, of our young black males end up in prison, because they can't fit into that structured system. Because really, naturally, it feminizes them. That's why it's geared. That's why us black women are so successful in the education system. That's why we're the most educated. We went on and got the most degrees, because the school system, specifically, especially the public schools, especially inner public schools, is geared that way. Most of the teachers are women. So it's geared towards the feminine energy. So a lot of your young black boys who naturally are in their energy in the correct way in them environments, they can't succeed in them environments. You know what I'm saying? They don't succeed as well. So that's why they have to have the sports. The only thing that can grasp them is sports. That's why some of them got to have them sports. Because without it, what is the point of it? They would end up, pretty much, they're going to end up in prison or end up in jail. Because it's just the way the system is structured. Because it's not going to gear them or push them towards, unless you're talking about being an entertainer or something like that. But that's why they always push for sports or entertainment, because that's how the damn school systems is set up in terms of towards the men, because it emasculates them. They have to. It puts a stronghold on their energy. Yo. Like, it's all in the way that it's structured. It's all about energy. Yo. It's really all about energy. And so when we get on them. See, that's why people don't understand why these young men go get in gangs, because we misunderstand them. See, we don't understand that they don't fit into the schools. They don't really fit into the structure. They might not be good enough to play no sports. So where are they getting any type of attention, any type of recognition? And they might have homes. Their parents might work all the time. They might not get enough nurturing of their character. They seek that shit out somewhere else. And where do they find it? In the gangs. All this shit go hand in hand. All of it go hand in hand. They find it in the gangs. And the gang give them something that they're not getting from nowhere else. Now, I'm not saying all this to make an excuse, but I'm just telling you how it go, because that's how the energy works. And all it takes is for one time for you to end up in the system. You pretty much gonna stay in the system. It's hard as hell to get out the system. That's why some of them don't have no choice but to turn to some music or some entertainment. That's why some of them will go above and beyond in that music and entertainment, because what else is left for them besides the streets and dying and going to prison? People don't want to live like that, especially not in the land of perfect illusion known as America. Not in America where you got all this shit right here in your hands reach, all this illusionary materialistic shit that we define by, that society is based on in this European society. Cause that's where all this materialistic shit come from. This is a European ass society. And so we define ourselves by these things. You can't have nothing without it. Get on. Look, you're not supposed to have you can't have no relationship. Like, just everything is becoming so transactional. Everything becoming so transactional, yo. Like, nothing is sacred no more. Nothing is sacred. And that's why I tell people all the time, we don't realize how much we sell ourselves just to survive. And it's messed up because we are a very spiritual people. We really are. But we live and we're stuck in this illusion, in this hell. And so many people can't see through it. You know what I'm saying? They stuck. They stuck right there. In where everything is physical. Everything is material. Everything is fear driven. Everything is fear based. I'm not going to be able, and it goes back to your basic rules of survival. I'm not going to be able to eat. I'm not going to, people got to have a place to live. Y'all, rent is ridiculously crazy high, right? Like, inflation is crazy right now. Like, it's hard out here for everybody, financially speaking. And you get online, right? You get on social media, and all you see is more fucking illusion. All you see is more, materialistic bull. That's all you see. And then people in these lower frequencies start to experience this depression because they looking at these people and they comparing themselves and they don't understand what they're doing to themselves, and this shit is a cycle. We just cogs in a wheel, man. Cogs in a wheel. That's all it is. Cogs in a wheel. Because we stuck right here. So, man, it's a lot to process, man. It's a lot to take in, and a lot of people will more rather be in bliss. More people would more rather deal with the illusion. Because this is a lot to process. With great power comes great responsibility. This is a lot of responsibility. This is a lot. Because now you know. And when you know, you can't unknow. You can't unknow. So when you know, you know. It ain't no going back. You cannot unsee what you have seen. It's too late for that. Nah, you chosen now. So, that's just how it go. That's just how it go. I feel like all these influences don't allow people to grasp who they really are. That's facts, though. That's absolutely why they are there. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And then we look at it now and we wonder why, right? We look at it. We got 24-hour news cycle all the time just at our fingertips. So major stories and gossip and drama and all type of stuff is coming at us 24/7. At least 20 years ago, the news cycle wasn't this consistent. We weren't getting this bombarded with this much stuff all the time. So it's absolutely to keep people distracted. I wrote 3 books. I'll say, well, technically 4 because I did a dream journal. So I created a dream journal to help people in terms of journaling their dreams and dream interpretation. So I did a dream journal. It's a little slight thing. Then I did the numerology book and the alchemy book. Both of those books I wrote with my husband. So we did those. That's a guide to inner peace, and that's a guide to self-mastery. And then the one that I just finished is called Set Your Soul on Fire. And that's pretty much focused on shadow work. Like how to go about it, how you do it, what is it, methods, how to just just looking at shadow work, mostly, so to speak, and how to live your life, you know, through that alchemical process, through that transformation, being more in touch with yourself, doing shadow work. Because a lot of people say shadow work, shadow work, shadow work. It's becoming like a buzzword now, so you get shadow work journals and things like that. But what is it really? You know what I'm saying? Where does it really come from? And that's what the book is about. So we say the term shadow work because of or from psychology, going back to Carl Jung. But in all honesty, in all actuality, it's more ancient than that. It's pretty, and I lay out how it's similar to alchemy, hermeticism, and how those ancient tools, or how different things that we go about and do all the time are tools of shadow work. We just don't understand what the shadow is because we're so programmed and conditioned through indoctrination to see things a very specific way. So that's what Set Your Soul on Fire is, because what frees us is that fire. Your soul is like a fire. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's always correlating to the sun. So to live authentically from your soul, that was the goal of that book. So I touch on a lot of those different topics and just kind of show how it's all very similar and all correlate, and if you're able to be open to it, you're able to see how really they all have the same goal. You're all supposed to be striving for the same thing with these tools. Whether it's astrology, numerology, no matter what it is, it's really to put you more in tune with yourself, because that which you seek is truly inside of you. It's an inner thing. So that's how I really view it. So that's what that book is about. Because like I said, man, you get all this, it's a lot of buzzwords. It's a lot of, in the conscious community or in the spiritual community, so people get to talking about shadow work. And it's like, well, what is it? You know what I'm saying? So, and there's different ways to look at it. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it, because it's not one way to do it. And it's really depending on you and what's going to work best for you to do it, which is what I'm trying to explain and pretty much lay out for you. So that's how I've been looking at it. That's how I do it. That's how I lay it out in terms of in the book. Peace to you, ancient Iroquois goddess who jumped in for a second. Since the pandemic, it's actually been beneficial. What's been beneficial? I gotta watch Power. I ain't watched Power yet. Time out the streets force people to focus on other things. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they counted on it when the pandemic and all the and so many people, started to get into a lot of knowledge and information. A lot of people started waking up. Spirituality absolutely has become a trend. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would completely agree. Yep. It absolutely has. I should took their lives because of being in the house. Oh man, yeah. You be amazed. You know. A lot of people came to some tough realizations in having to be home and force them in having to sit down. A lot of people realized they didn't like the people they was in their house with too. Yep. And that's what distractions allow you to be able to do. See, them distractions keep you from having to deal with stuff like that because you're not forced to have to deal with it. Whether it's yourself, whether it's, your significant other, because if you can distract yourself with enough things that you don't have to deal with it, you don't have to face it enough, to the point where it has to change. But if you constantly having to face something, like, yo, this shit got to change. So when people be experiencing something like over and over, and it's like, yo, I don't know how much more I can take of this. That's what it's a push. It's something pushing and pushing and pushing for you to transform, for pushing for you to change, trying to bring forth that change. See, the suffering comes in the resisting of the change. And sometimes you got to let the bad shit happen so that the change can happen, so that the change can come. Sometimes that's how it is. That's the truth. That's the truth of the matter. Like, you might not want it to play out like this, but sometimes it got to. And right after, you be amazed. Boom, here comes the next level that you got to go to. So you might be sad and feeling down and bad about something ending, but man, that thing had to end in order so you can move on to something even better. So that's where the suffering come in. It come in the resisting the change. We gotta start. We be resisting the change. But see, that's what happened, man. That's what happened when you don't do shadow work, yo. Cause I'm telling you, it translates into everything in life. Like, it's just real, yo. That's how you know people just don't deal with themselves. Like, you just ain't dealing with yourself. You just avoiding yourself, and that's cowardly at the end of the day. And some people not don't see it. Some people really be oblivious to it. Some people, see, you got to think about it. Like, some people are in denial about their denial. You feel me? That's deep. Like, that's like triple stages. Like, you don't even know what you don't know and don't even realize why you don't know it. Like, it's levels to a thing. And that's why sometimes they say all things come in time, or things come in the time that they supposed to, because there's certain moments where things align, that things have to surface for whatever reason. And in those moments, that thing has to come out and it has to be brought to light. And in that thing coming out, being brought to light, now there's the opportunity, the chance to go forward to something more, something else. But we as humans, right? We as humans, because we live and we have our emotions and the things that we experience, and we attach these stories. We attach these stories to these emotions. So now we attach these emotions or these stories to these emotions. And now we are feeling things, or we are experiencing things in a way because of those stories that we have now told ourselves. So now, because this is happening, I'm not good enough. You see what I'm saying? See, you just created that emotion within yourself because you attached the idea that because this happened, this has to be a bad thing. No, maybe this happened because it's time for you to get something else that is better. Maybe that's why this happened. You feel me? Maybe that's why this happened. But we so conditioned through or right or wrong or good or bad, we don't. Cause see, we done lost that spiritual understanding, man. We've lost it. We've lost it. We don't understand no more. So because we don't understand, right? We gotta remember, perspective is God. Because however or wherever your perception is going to determine how it is that you see things, how you see your world, how you see yourself. Your mind is the projector. The mind is the projector. So it's like this says up here. Your physical mind is just made of belief systems. That's all it is. They're just filters that allow you to experience the idea of yourself as a projection into physical reality. So based on your beliefs, because you got millions and millions and bits of information coming at you constantly. But depending on your beliefs, it filters all that information out so you can get the experience you believe in. So you can get the experience you believe in. That's why you create your reality. And so the moment that you change your perception, right? That's what this one says. The moment that you change your perception is the moment that you rewrite the chemistry of your body. And that's because it got to do with your DNA. Because see, depending on what you know, your DNA is nothing but light code. So your DNA is transmitting, constantly creating your reality, including your flesh, including what is your physical body. So the minute that you change your perception, you rewrite the chemistry. Why? Because you rewriting the story. You changing the story because you are the author of your own story, because you are the authority of your life. So that's what that means. So when a lot of people with their issues with control, what you got to learn how to do is you got to start dealing with detachment. And there's a lot of different ways that people look at detachment, but I specifically like the way this is worded in terms of detachment. Because it says attachment to a person or an outcome has its roots in fear and a need to control or hold on to the familiar. When you allow other people to be themselves, you become an excellent parent, boss, friend, or lover. Detachment allows the universe to create a perfect result, and it's the key to happiness and well-being. Now, see, the reason why I like this is because, for one, it lets you know that anytime you dealing with attachment is rooted in fear. So we know when we talking about fear, that we stuck down here in this root. So we know you in hell. So you gotta come up out of that. You gotta come up out of that frequency. Because when you stuck down here, you stuck in the material, you stuck in the physical, you in fight or flight mode. You don't feel stable, you don't feel secure. You don't feel sure of yourself. You don't feel connected to the earth. So you don't want to feel like that, right? So we know that whenever we dealing with fear, that's what we dealing with. So you gotta let go of that need to control or hold on to what is familiar. That's why I say sometimes, hey, you gotta let some shit go. Let it be what it is so that the change can happen. Even if it do mean everything gotta come crashing down, because sometimes that's just the answer. You just holding on to the inevitable. You just resisting the change to the point where it's becoming detrimental to your growth. You're not growing. So you have to let that go now. It's time to let that go now. It's time for you to move on no matter how painful it is. And sometimes it's going to be painful. But just remember, pain ain't nothing but weakness leaving the body. That's all it is. So you becoming more solid in yourself. You got to go through this. So you got to trust that, for one, you're going to make it through it. You're going to get through it. You're going to be okay. And you don't need to continue to put yourself in situations with other people in your relationship, so much so that you trying to control, like, to the point where you're not allowing people to be who they are. Let people be who they are so you can save yourself the trouble. Allow them to be who they are. Because when you trying to control the outcome, when you trying to put more into it than that other person, than you allowing that other person to do, you not cooperating. You being just as selfish. That's selfish of you. That's selfish of you because you're not even giving that person an opportunity to cooperate with you. You're not even giving that person an opportunity to put in their fair share. You just want to take over and control it completely. And then what's gonna happen? You're gonna get mad when they don't put in as much because they can't. They cannot put in as much when you've already put in too much. It's not possible. It's not possible. You can't put more. If a bucket this big, just because you put this much in there, that person can't put the same amount as you in there because it ain't not much more left of the damn bucket. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to allow the person, yo. That's how you cooperate. That's how you truly, truly have a working partnership. Whether it's your lover, whether it's somebody you got a co-parent with, whether it's a co-worker, whether it is a friend. Because if not, things going to get out of balance. And when they get out of balance, you know what's going to happen? It's going to create resentment. And that it's not going to work out. So you have to detach. You gotta detach, yo. You have to deal with that fear and figure out what that fear is rooted in. You have to do that. Because then you allow yourself to be in the right space with people. And you know what people for you. Then see, if you can get to this point, you're not going to deal with people that you know that can't match what you own. If you can allow yourself to let go of that attachment and trust that you have to trust yourself. It's about you trusting yourself. If you can trust yourself, because if in the beginning, if you allow a person to show you who they are in the very beginning, yo, you already know who they are. You already know who they are. But when you naturally are already in a place where you not attached, you already not operating in a fearful place. So you already dealing with this relationship from a higher frequency. You already dealing with this partnership from a higher frequency. But you got to be willing to let go of the attachment because it's rooted in the fear. Let's see. Wow, these pictures pretty big. The government goes after people that have knowledge because they know it's power. Absolutely. Knowledge is power. Absolutely. Absolutely. Knowledge is power. My son in there wilding. Can you hear him? Can y'all hear my son in the background? But I just wanted to get on and kind of chit chat for a minute. I appreciate y'all that hopped on the live. Thank you, Tavaria. I enjoyed talking with you. Appreciate you. Thanks for following. I'm going to follow you back. I appreciate you. But yeah, I'm about to wrap it up. So until next time, I might hop back on later. I don't know. But, maybe if I have some topics or something I want to talk about. I don't know what you think. What's some good topics out there? Be talking about in terms of, metaphysics, occult, mysticism. Some history, I do dab in the history. I don't know. We're going to figure it out, though. But in the meantime, the link is in my bio if you want to check out my books. You can get the ebooks, all 3 of them for $15 right now. So the link is in my bio to my link tree, and it should have my Shopify store on there. So right when you purchase it, you're able to download it. And, be sure to follow me on other socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. But in the meantime, I'm out. Peace.